What's up, YouTube? MOTOBLADE here. This is my 6-month review on owning the Kawasaki Vulcan S. This baby is awesome. It is another gorgeous day in South Tennessee. I'm gonna ride around for a little bit before I've got some work to do, but I wanted to give you guys a review of the Vulcan S after owning it for 6 months. So the features that I talk about on this bike, if you've seen my previous videos, my #1 video on my channel, why you need this bike, my opinions haven't changed much. So if you guys want to watch that video, go ahead and then compare it to this video and see what I've changed. I haven't even watched that video for a while, so I don't remember exactly what I said. But I'm going to go over the top things that I absolutely love about this bike after having it for 6 months. Number 1, it's fast. I mean, it's a crotch rocket in a cruiser, and I love it. I feel so sporty riding this thing. I can get super low in the corners. It corners like a sport bike. I've said that since day one. It feels so fast and so nimble. It is just so much fun to ride. If nothing more, forget every other feature about this bike that I will talk about. The most important thing is this bike is a blast to ride. I've been having so much fun in this warmer weather, tearing it up around here locally and getting ready to go up to the National Forest and do the Tail of the Dragon run this spring. That's going to be awesome. But this bike is just a pleasure and a joy to ride. So much fun. If you guys have not had the opportunity to ever ride one, highly recommend you guys go to your local Kawasaki dealer, or if you have a buddy who owns one, beg him to let you ride it. And just ride it and you'll understand how much fun it is to experience. It might not be the fastest and it might not be the coolest, but I think it does both of those pretty darn well, and the two of them combined, it's just an awesome bike. Speaking of cool, this bike never gets hot. I love that it's liquid cooled. It doesn't get hot in warmer weather, but it gets just warm enough that in the wintertime, if I want that little extra heat, I can tuck my legs right up against the engine and they're not getting burned. It stays plenty cool enough that I'm good to let my leg get near the engine without burning myself or burning my clothing, and it's just fantastic. Another thing I absolutely love about this bike is the digital gauge. I mean, I kind of like the classic look on a cruiser of just the speedometer. I think that looks cool, but I get so much information on this gauge that it's exceedingly useful. Particularly, my favorite thing about the entire experience with the digital gauge is the fact that it gives me my range before my next fuel up. I love the fuel gauge down here with the little bar telling me where I am between full and empty. And then on the top right corner, if you guys can see that, I'll lean in a little bit and try and angle the camera. But it gives me a range of how far until my next fill up. And that's been one of my favorite things from the beginning, but I've come to love it even more. So incredibly handy. Just the other thing that comes in handy, and I didn't even think of it as a feature on the bike until one day I needed it, was on the left side of my gauge. If you guys can see, my tag's in the way there. On the left side of my gauge, there's a clock. I know some riders who are like, you don't need a watch when you're riding. You just need the open road. Don't worry about the time. Yeah, okay, I get that. And that's fun, and that's great. Until I'm late for class or for an appointment with a client or a patient. And then that becomes problematic when I'm riding and not paying attention to the time. So just being able to give a quick glance down and get my range till empty, my speed, and my time all in one shot, that's just great. That was smart thinking on Kawasaki's part to include something as simple as that little feature that a lot of bikes don't have. Something I haven't used at all since I got the bike, well, since I installed it on the bike, is the 12-volt power adapter. You know, I installed that thinking I could use it to charge my phone or to plug in a GPS if I need it. but I have not used that thing since I installed it. I think it's great considering it was only like $12 to install. I think that's a cheap accessory that could come in handy someday, and maybe someday when I'm out and my phone's dead and I break down, you know, maybe that will come in handy, and I'll be very glad that I put it in. But for right now, I haven't used it once in the 6 months that I've owned the bike, and I installed that like the week after I got the bike. Another thing I love about this bike, that yes, you could install it on any bike you want to, and if your Kawasaki doesn't have it, you can definitely install it. But the windshield on this bike is functional yet stylish, and that's something that you don't often find in combination with the other when it comes to motorcycles. Usually the windshields look kind of stupid and plasticky and don't really look good. They kind of mess with the line of the bike. In the case of the Vulcan S, I happen to think that the windshield looks pretty darn good. And it's super useful. Like, it keeps the wind off of me perfectly. If I was a bit taller, I might want the taller Kawasaki windshield that they make. So they do have that option available. But for me, this windshield is just perfect. This is the mid-range or mid-size windshield for the Vulcan S. Another thing I love about this bike, and this is totally and completely subjective, as are most of my opinions here, but the color of this bike, like, just seriously, look at that color. I can't look because I'm riding, but look down there. That color is just gorgeous. And I hated it when I first bought the bike. I got the bike because it was such a fantastic deal, and it was fun to ride, but the color just didn't do it for me. And I thought, you know, well, color I can change later down the road. I can have it repainted or something. Not that big a deal. But the color started to grow on me, and now I freaking love this color. It's difficult to see in the video, and you really won't see it unless you're in person, but the green Kawasaki Vulcan S has like this metal flake to it that just looks absolutely gorgeous in the sunlight. It just sparkles, okay? It just sparkles so fabulous. But it is awesome to look at in the sunlight. And just kind of blind people when you go by with the sparkle. And I know that's why we all buy our bikes, boys, is for the color. We just have to look so good going down the road. I'm sorry, I'm just in one of those moods today. But, yeah, this is one thing that I really didn't like about the bike starting out, and now I think it's fantastic. Was that a guy or a girl? I cannot freaking tell. That looked like a dude or a very ugly woman. I hope it wasn't a woman.
That's a woman?
Anyway, where was I? Okay, color's cool, windshield's great, the digital gauge, and it's freaking fun to ride. Freaking school zones, man. I know I need to be safe because of the kids, and that's fine, but seriously, it's really annoying when you're on a motorcycle. 20 miles an hour, which is kind of where they want you here, that's like right on the edge of being comfortable in first and second for me, so that's just annoying as frick. So yeah, overall this bike is just awesome. I have not had a single issue with it yet. It's been reliable, it's been fun, it's been a great ride, and I highly, highly recommend, if you have not ridden one, that you get your ass on one of these things and try it out. It's amazing. So if you guys like this video, or if you guys like Little Debbie's, check that place out. That's where, like, they research the cosmic brownies and all the fun, tasty things that make you fat. Hit the thumbs up button, like the video, subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out a lot. And if you guys own a Vulcan S, which I know lots of you guys on my channel do, and the guys who I've met through the motovlogging community, give me a shout out on here. What are your favorite things about this bike after owning it for however long? I don't care how long you've owned it. What is it that you absolutely love about your Vulcan S? We can hate on it another time for a couple of other things. In fact, I have a video on things I would want to change on that. You guys can check that out on my channel. But just tell me, what do you love about this bike or your bike in general? Let's give our bikes a little love this week, guys. Until next time, y'all, ride safe, ride on, and I will catch you all later. Deuces.